Let me ask you something very directly. Have you looked at your recent blood work and noticed that your creatinine is higher than it used to be? Maybe it's 1.6, maybe 2.0, maybe even higher. And maybe someone told you your kidney function is slipping. Your GFR is going down. Your numbers are moving in the wrong direction. And ever since then, that quiet fear has been sitting in the back of your mind. Is this going to keep getting worse? Am I doing something every day that is quietly damaging my kidneys without even realizing it? And the biggest question of all, is there anything I can still do now, after 60, to protect my kidneys and possibly help bring these numbers under better control? If that's where you are right now, stay with me for the next few minutes. Because today, Dr. Arthur is going to walk you through something that almost nobody explains clearly enough to seniors living with rising creatinine, early kidney decline, or stage 3 chronic kidney disease. And it's this: not all proteins affect your kidneys the same way. That is the part so many people miss. Some proteins create a much heavier waste burden on the kidneys. Some come packaged with high phosphorus, high sodium, or compounds that make damaged kidneys work even harder. But others are cleaner, gentler, easier to use, and far more kidney-friendly when prepared the right way. And that difference matters more than most people realize. In this video, Dr. Arthur is going to show you 6 proteins that are often much safer and smarter choices for adults over 60 who want to support kidney health and reduce the metabolic strain that can push creatinine in the wrong direction. I'll also show you the mistakes people make with these foods that can cancel out the benefit completely. Because knowing what to eat is only half the battle. Knowing how to eat it is what changes the game. And by the end of this video, you're going to have a much clearer picture of which proteins may help support your kidneys, which ones are overloading them, and how to make simple food choices that are much more kidney conscious starting today. Now, before we get into the list, I need to give you a very important piece of context. Because if you don't understand this part, the advice online will keep sounding contradictory. Here's the simple version. Your kidneys filter waste out of your blood. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into amino acids, which your body needs. But that process also creates waste products that your kidneys must remove. If your kidneys are already under stress, too much of the wrong kind of protein can increase that burden. That doesn't mean protein is the enemy. In fact, after 60, protein becomes even more important because muscle loss accelerates with age. And losing muscle can make weakness, frailty, low energy, and poor recovery much worse. So the goal is not to eliminate protein. The goal is to choose protein more intelligently. That means looking at the quality of the protein, the amount, the sodium load, the phosphorus load, the potassium load, and even how the food is prepared. That's where most people go wrong. They hear one sentence like, "eat less protein," and they walk away confused, undernourished, and still not protecting their kidneys properly. So today, Dr. Arthur is going to simplify this for you. One more important note before we begin. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for personalized medical advice. If you have stage 4 or stage 5 kidney disease, are on dialysis, have high potassium, or have been given a very specific renal meal plan, always talk to your own physician or renal dietitian before making changes. All right, let's get into the 6 proteins. Protein number 1. Egg whites. If there is one protein that consistently stands out as one of the cleanest options for many people with kidney concerns, it is egg whites. Not whole eggs, egg whites. And that distinction matters. The reason whole eggs can become more complicated for kidney patients is the yolk. The yolk contains more phosphorus, and phosphorus is one of the minerals kidneys often struggle to keep in balance as kidney function declines. But the egg white is different. Egg whites provide high-quality protein with very little phosphorus compared to many other animal protein sources. They are light, efficient, and relatively easy for the body to use. That makes them especially helpful for older adults who need protein but do not want to overload their kidneys with unnecessary waste. Another reason egg whites are so useful is that they deliver protein without a lot of extra baggage. No heavy saturated fat, no large mineral burden, just a clean, focused protein source that can fit into a kidney-conscious plan more easily than many breakfast foods seniors commonly eat. Now here's the mistake people make. They either avoid eggs completely out of fear, or they keep eating large amounts of whole eggs thinking there's no difference. There is a difference. For many adults with kidney concerns, shifting more of your intake toward egg whites instead of multiple whole eggs can be a much smarter move. A practical starting point is 2 to 3 egg whites, lightly cooked, without loading them up with butter, cheese, or processed meats. And that last part matters. Because the egg whites may be kidney-friendlier, but pairing them with bacon, sausage, or salty packaged seasonings can turn a good choice into a harmful one very quickly. Protein number 2. Skinless chicken breast. Now let's talk about one of the most practical proteins on this list. Skinless chicken breast. When it's prepared properly, chicken breast can be one of the best moderate protein options for adults over 60 trying to protect kidney function while also preserving muscle. It is lean, it is high in protein, it is versatile, and compared with many red meats and processed meats, it is often a much cleaner choice. But here is the hidden issue most people never notice. A lot of store-bought chicken is not just chicken. It may be injected with sodium solution, broth, or flavor-enhancing additives. That means what looks like a healthy protein on the outside may come with a surprisingly high sodium load. And if your kidneys are already stressed, high sodium is one of the worst things you can quietly keep feeding your body. Why? Because sodium raises blood pressure, increases fluid retention, and puts more strain on the kidneys over time. So if you choose chicken breast, the smarter move is to buy plain, unseasoned chicken with no added solution whenever possible. Then cook it simply. Boiled, poached, baked, or lightly grilled is usually better than heavily fried or coated versions. Another useful strategy is keeping portions controlled. A moderate portion is usually far better than a giant dinner plate piled with protein. Because even a good protein can become too much if the quantity is excessive. And here's the mistake people make with chicken. They think grilled chicken from anywhere is automatically healthy. But restaurant chicken, deli chicken, pre-marinated chicken, and frozen seasoned chicken can be loaded with sodium. So the protein itself may be fine. The preparation is the trap. Protein number 3, certain fish. Fish deserves a place on this list, but only if we talk about it carefully. Because not all fish are equally kidney-friendly. Some fish can be excellent choices because they give you high-quality protein and, in certain cases, beneficial omega-3 fats. Those omega-3s are often discussed for heart health, but they may also support a healthier inflammatory balance in the body. And inflammation matters because chronic inflammation is one of the many factors that can worsen kidney stress over time. This is one reason fish like salmon, trout, or sardines often get attention. But there is an important nuance here. Some of the fattier fish also contain more phosphorus, which means portion size matters more than people think. This is why whitefish can sometimes be a simpler option. Cod, tilapia, flounder, and similar fish can offer clean protein with a somewhat lighter overall mineral burden for some people. So the real takeaway is not, all fish is perfect. The takeaway is that fish can be a smart protein when you choose the type carefully and avoid the versions that come with hidden sodium. And that brings us to the biggest mistake. Canned fish, smoked fish, breaded fish, and heavily seasoned frozen fish can be far less kidney-friendly than people assume. A can of fish packed with salt may undo much of the benefit. So if you use canned fish, choosing no salt added or lower sodium versions is the smarter approach. And if you're eating fish regularly, moderate portions matter just as much as food quality. A clean protein is still best used in a controlled amount. Before I continue, let me say this. If you're finding this helpful, make sure you subscribe to Dr. Arthur right now and turn on notifications, because this is exactly the kind of practical health information people over 60 need more of and rarely get explained clearly. And in the comments below, I want you to share one thing. Your latest creatinine or GFR number, if you know it, and where you're watching from. Dr. Arthur reads those comments, and it helps build a community of people who are going through the same kidney concerns together. Alright, let's continue. Protein number 4, tofu. Now I know some of you may not have expected tofu to be on this list, but this is where things get interesting. Tofu is a plant-based protein, and for many people with kidney concerns, plant proteins can be worth paying much closer attention to. Why? Because plant proteins often come with a different metabolic profile than animal proteins. In many cases, they may create less acid load in the body, and that matters because a higher acid burden can add stress in people whose kidneys are already not functioning at full strength. Tofu is also relatively easy to portion, easy to digest for many people, and flexible enough to use in simple meals without needing a lot of salt or heavy sauces. And that makes it valuable. Now, is tofu perfect for everyone? No, nothing on this list is. But tofu is often overlooked because people assume all soy is problematic, or they only think about the mineral content on paper without considering that plant-based phosphorus is not always absorbed the same way as phosphorus from processed foods or animal foods. That distinction matters, and here is the common mistake. People buy tofu, then prepare it with soy sauce, packaged marinades, salty stir-fry sauces, or highly processed flavor mixes. At that point, the sodium content can shoot up very quickly. So if you use tofu, keep it simple. Use Use herbs, use garlic powder, use lemon, use a small amount of olive oil. Let the protein stay the benefit instead of turning the sauce into the problem. Protein number 5, plain Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt can be a very useful protein source for older adults, especially those who struggle with appetite, fatigue, or chewing heavier foods. It is soft, it is convenient, it is rich in protein, and for many people, it is an easy way to get meaningful nutrition without preparing a full meal. That alone can make a big difference after 60. Because one of the hidden problems in older adults with kidney issues is undereating. People get scared of food, they eat less, and then muscle loss accelerates. That creates a whole new set of problems. Plain Greek yogurt can sometimes help fill that gap, but I want to be very careful here. Greek yogurt is not a free food. It can contain meaningful potassium and phosphorus, which means it may be fine for some people and too much for others depending on their labs and the stage of kidney disease. That is why portion size matters. And that is also why plain matters, because flavored yogurts often bring added sugar, additives, and sometimes extra ingredients that make them far less useful than people think. The mistake here is treating Greek yogurt like a limitless health food. It is not limitless, it is strategic. Used in a controlled portion, it can be a helpful protein option. Used carelessly every day in large quantities, especially on top of other higher phosphorus foods, it may not be the best choice. Protein number 6, lentils. Now we come to the protein that creates the most confusion for many people, lentils. And the reason is simple. People hear that lentils contain potassium, and they assume that means lentils should be avoided completely. But that is far too simplistic, because with kidney nutrition, context matters, preparation matters, portion matters, and the form of the food matters. Lentils are one of the most interesting foods on this list because they provide both plant protein and fiber. And fiber matters more for kidney health than many people realize. Why? Because the gut and the kidneys are connected more closely than most people think. A healthier gut environment may help reduce some of the waste burden and inflammatory stress that can contribute to problems over time. That doesn't mean lentils are perfect for everyone, but it does mean they deserve a more thoughtful discussion than never eat them. And here is the key point. Preparation changes things. Soaking and boiling can reduce some of the potassium burden, which makes lentils much more workable for certain people than they would be otherwise. This is why blanket food fear is so unhelpful. The real question is not just what food it is. The real question is, how is it prepared, how much are you eating, and what do your labs say? The mistake people make with lentils is either avoiding them completely out of fear, or eating large portions and assuming plant-based automatically means harmless. Neither extreme is smart. A smaller, properly prepared portion is usually the wiser path. Now, before I give you the final takeaway, I want to quickly cover 3 protein mistakes that may be pushing kidney numbers in the wrong direction, even if you think you're eating well. Mistake number 1. Protein powders and healthy shakes. This is a big one. A lot of adults over 60 are told they need more protein, so they start using protein shakes every day without realizing that many of these powders are packed with additives, phosphorus ingredients, artificial flavor systems, sodium, and highly processed forms of protein that may be much harder on the kidneys than whole foods. And this is especially dangerous because people think they're doing something healthy. If your kidneys are already struggling, blindly adding protein powder is not a small mistake. It can be a very costly one. Mistake number 2. Processed meats, deli slices, sausages, hot dogs, cured meats, packaged convenience proteins. These foods may be easy, but they often come with huge sodium loads and additive phosphorus. And that combination is terrible for stressed kidneys. This is one of the fastest ways people sabotage themselves while still believing they're getting enough protein. Yes, you're getting protein, but you're also getting a package of things your kidneys do not want. Mistake number 3. Eating too much protein at one time. This is a mistake almost nobody talks about. Even when people choose better proteins, they often pile most of it into one large meal. But a large protein load all at once can create a heavier waste burden than spreading moderate portions across the day. That means a more balanced breakfast, lunch, and dinner pattern may be much easier on your kidneys than skipping meals and then eating a giant protein-heavy dinner. This matters, because kidney health is not just about what you eat. It is also about how your body has to process it. Now let me leave you with the most important takeaway from this entire video. A rising creatinine number is not something to ignore, but it is also not a signal to panic and give up. It is a signal to get smarter. Smarter about your protein, smarter about sodium, smarter about phosphorus, smarter about portions, and smarter about the difference between foods that nourish you and foods that quietly overload your kidneys. The 6 proteins we covered today are not magic foods, but they are strategic foods. Egg whites, skinless chicken breast, carefully chosen fish, tofu, plain Greek yogurt, and properly prepared lentils. These proteins may help support your body's needs while reducing some of the unnecessary stress that the wrong protein choices can place on aging kidneys. And after 60, that matters more than ever. Because protecting kidney function is not just about one lab number. It is about preserving independence. It is about preserving energy. It is about preserving quality of life. And the sooner you make those targeted changes, the better your chances of helping your kidneys work with less strain. If this video helped you, subscribe to Dr. Arthur, hit the like button, and share this with someone over 60 who needs to hear it. And don't forget to comment below with your latest creatinine or GFR number and where you're watching from. Dr. Arthur wants to hear from you. Thank you for spending these minutes with Dr. Arthur today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.